You know what's funny? Out of all the successful business ventures we've had, when I walked in and these new chairs were here, it took my breath away. He really did. I was like,
wow, he did it.
He delivered. I'm not kidding. Because they were just there.
Well, it broke.
You didn't mention it?
Yeah.
No, but it's just that you said, I don't think I'm going to get chairs. And then when I came in, they were here. I was literally like...
What is up, Watch fam? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Watch Shop.
My name is Michael. What are you looking at?
Oh, you know how I look off into space?
Look at my wrist.
No.
It's a Rolex.
Why would I look at your Explorer? Yeah, I'm staring at the most boring watch of all time.
My name is Michael. This video is sponsored by headphones.com. That was awesome. I mean, is it white gold? No.
Terrific. What are we talking about today?
The biggest flop in Swatch history.
Them.
So we'll get into it, but Swatch definitely took a bunch of the least popular watches and we're like, we could flip these. We need one adjustment.
Impotence. That's what my father used to tell me. Not that I ever really did anything that was very impotent, but on the rare occasion that I did, or when my peers did something and they really showed their impotence, he would look at me and say, impotent. And that's what I would say about Swatch right now.
Everybody's
impotent. He's unable to maintain an erection and impregnate a woman.
You look at what they did, and you're like, you stupid idiot.
So stupid.
You went way too far the other way.
Moonswatch.
Also, I was gonna say on Rolly, we need to do a
liquor run
soon. But also,
I was thinking about bringing liquor run in like once a month on Patreon. Oh, secret drop! We're launching a Patreon where we're bringing back the podcast. There will also be public episodes of the podcast, but there will be more on Patreon behind a paywall because Papa needs a new pair of shoes.
Everybody sees this guy with a white gold GMT and
like, let's give him more money.
They're like, oh, please.
But yeah, it's going to be amazing. We're going to do a bunch of podcasts and a bunch of other shit too. I'm really excited about it. Actually going to film a lot of the stuff for it next week. So we're going to be launching in the next, like a month.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Let's talk about the who, what, when, where, why.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Which is how you write an article.
Yeah.
Remember that in grade school?
No.
The who, what, when, where, why.
No, never.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't think I went to a good grade school.
When I, as a kid, when you used to write an article, those are the answers to things you had to write, and was
this lawyer prep like elementary school?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking like, how the articles, they may have answered the questions, but they were so ghastly and tasteless. I'm like, where's the creative writing?
Like, I mean, we're following the form, but great artists break the form.
So, okay. Omega, a while ago, I don't even know when. I don't know when Omega released the Moonswatch, but Omega a couple months ago announced, they teased that they were doing this Swatch collaboration. No one knew what it was going to be. Inevitably, it broke the internet. It broke the world. Omega released a set, I believe, of 12. World went nuts. They were super cool. Neither Michael nor I ended up getting them. We both liked them. There were at least 3 that I would like to have.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
They were like $200 and something at retail. Don't fact check.
Yep.
And they were selling, some of them sold for several $1,000s. Like, it was fucking bananas. You all know this. This is not a secret.
Yes.
I did not flip any Moonswatches. If I had, though, I would have used my Stamps.com account.
Whoa. That's fantastic.
That was good, right?
Yeah.
Stamps.com is our shipping partner.
Yes.
I use Stamps.com to make all of my labels. Well, I don't do it, but Jen does it all the time.
She does a great job.
It has literally made her job so much easier. It's not even close. It is the most intuitive, efficient, cost-effective system, period.
Yes.
We are big Stamps.com fans. If you ship anything ever, particularly if you are a small business, because Stamps.com really stands for the small business,
yes.
Head on over and make your Stamps.com account.
Stamps.com/Theo and Harris. You can get a 4-week trial, free postage, and a digital scale.
Definitely do that.
There are some that probably sold very well and some that probably still sold very well, but not as well.
Right.
So, anyways.
Exactly. And we looked at it literally as of last week when we recorded an episode before the release, before the newest release, which was Mission to Moonshine Gold,
yes.
Which was this single straggler release months after the
like we said, they didn't revise the title for sure. Or actually, no, they did once. The original one was the space mission from Omega and Swatch to Mission to Moonshine Gold. And they're like, we could
make it shorter. Mission to Moonshine Gold. Which one do you want? Oh, I have the Mission to Moonshine Gold.
Mission to Moonshine Gold.
That's a mouthful.
It is, yeah.
We praised them as, forget about the watches themselves, which were cool. Marketing brilliance.
We don't even know what's coming, but it's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be crazy. They did such a good job with the Moonswatch kind of fiasco. The whole idea was brilliant. It could only happen because Swatch Group owns Omega. So they kind of said, listen, whether you want to do this or not really my problem. We're gonna do it. I own you, motherfucker.
And now Mission to Moonshine Gold comes out, and it's like, wow, you're even dipping deeper into the Omega catalog because you're taking their metals, their proprietary metals and proprietary names, and putting them into Swatch.
Exactly.
Are there going to be gold flakes in the case? Is the case going to be a golden hue? Is there going to be like... Amazing. Are they going to do a champagne dial? I saw a gold-colored hued watch with a black bezel.
I even saw with the red bezel at the Apollo.
Exactly.
Insane.
So many cool things.
And the craziest part was this was all going to happen 2 weeks before Watches and Wonders, which is the big watch industry fair where all the brands release their new watches. And we said, wow, how brilliant that Swatch Group, Omega, but really Swatch, is trolling the entire industry and releasing something that's going to break the internet 2 weeks before the internet is supposed to break, right? Because the internet breaks every year.
Yeah, right.
And they flopped.
Before we get into the big blunder of the Moonshine Mission to Gold Swatch wristwatch, this video is sponsored by headphones.com.
Our great friends at headphones.com. Yeah. Watch geeks, car geeks, audiophiles, these are all people with a fundamental interest in really unnecessarily high quality, products.
And I can see we share the same, I sometimes go on the Theo and Harris YouTube channel, and I can see you've been searching a lot of audio tests and headphone tests.
Absolutely. Because it's interesting stuff, because you have something in your brain just naturally that's like, oh, wow. Like, you're fascinated by the next level.
Well, because it's also, like, what happens is, we're looking at the Focal Batiste specifically here, is there's, like, a certain level, a barrier that gets broken where you put on nicer headphones and you're like, oh, I do notice that the drums and this instrument are separated. And then someone's like, well, since the Focal Batiste has a DAC on the inside, you could do a USB-C into your computer, and then you get even better quality because Bluetooth actually has a reduction in quality. You're like, what?
It becomes addictive. And obviously, nothing is cheap, but an incredible pair of headphones is a pretty cheap watch. Like a really cheap watch.
That's actually very true.
Really cheap, which has definitely helped me kind of get it. Obviously, when I'm buying watches, these price tags are very, very expensive, and scratching an itch does really, it takes a bite out of your wallet. But in the headphone world, you feel kind of rich. You're like, oh yeah, I could get a really sick OG gangster set of headphones,
These headphones, Focal Batiste, $800.
Yep.
But machined aluminum.
Yep.
The drivers are made in France. 2 levels of noise cancellation. A passive mode so you can still hear the outside world. A built-in DAC. Like I said, you can go USB-C, you can go 3.5 millimeter jack, or you can go Bluetooth.
Yep.
$800 compared to a watch. You're like, okay, what can I get under $1,000?
Yeah.
That is a significant upgrade to probably, unless you're already an audiophile, whatever you've been listening to.
Yeah, it's truly like a whole different world. My dad has been an audiophile for a while, but hadn't made tremendous investments. My dad's a fairly conservative guy, but I shared my Focal Batistes with him, and he took them on a trip just 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And he was texting me, my dad also loves texting on planes because it shows that he has the Wi-Fi.
For the Wi-Fi. Yeah.
So he's like, OMG, these are amazing.
On plane.
Yeah, on plane. Sent from United First Class. But no, he freaked out. I had to ask him for them back because I was going somewhere. But and he gave them back to me obviously, but he definitely didn't want to, and I have to probably bring them back to him pretty soon. So now we're sharing a pair at the moment, but I'm going to buy another pair because they are that good. You kind of don't want to go back to your regular you just don't want to.
Right.
Not to sound like a snob. Obviously, taking a phone call is no problem. But once you've heard the sound in that immersive environment, that crazy quality, it's just okay, this is how this song's supposed to sound now.
Yep.
This is how it's supposed to sound.
Exactly. Now I can hear the mud and the lower quality things. Yep. So check out headphones.com, obviously for the Focal Batiste, but they also have things that are much, much more expensive and things that are much less expensive.
Exactly.
Headphones.com, they got the domain.
They literally are the guys. They have the domain. Drum roll, what happened? What did they release? Break the internet? Basically,
Basically, they looked at all their old parts about the watches that were selling less and said, we'll put all those together, we'll change one thing, and we'll let it go.
It was basically like Mission to Mercury. The press photos had a Mission to Neptune band.
I'm going so far as to say
ghetto.
it was the Mission to Mercury, and they popped, which maybe, who knows, it could take more labor, could not. They popped off the hand and switched it.
Yeah, basically, it was the same exact thing they had already released. And
Press
small
photos.
differences, nothing really.
Press photos had Mission to Neptune on
the band.
Did you see why people said they probably did?
No.
Mission to Neptune, blue, was the one that was, the dye was leaking on your hand.
So they took the straps off?
So, well, they took the straps off, or there was a huge amount of really faulty ones that would turn your hand literally blue.
So the straps were extra?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm not saying that's for sure. There's no confirmed.
I just assumed it was a Photoshop error.
It could have been. It could have been.
But either way, you're
What are you doing? What are you doing?
So here's where it gets. So they flopped it. Literally, no one gives a 2 days later. No one cares.
The most supposed to be neutral watch article site in the world,
Yes.
Hodinkee.
Yes.
Literally in their caption is like, the biggest flop of the year was just released. Like, even the, it's not, I'm just paraphrasing.
Yeah.
But even the caption that is just supposed to talk about the release.
Yeah.
Is negative towards it.
It's unbelievable. What confuses me is, okay, first of all, I'm sure Omega turned a profit on these. On the first run of Moonswatches, they made $200 million, okay?
Right.
So I'm sure they made money on this. But the Moonswatch is supposed to be more than a money grab. It's supposed to be more than profitable. It's supposed to be really powerful for the brand, right? Which is even, it's almost unquantifiable. The value becomes hard to quantify at that point.
It's a comically, well, then I feel like you'll hop into this. It's comically like, like there's these wait lists for Rolex for years. You'll never get a Daytona. You'll never get this. That is so silly. Like swatches, that we're gonna make fun of that.
Yep.
And then obviously it was a smash hit, so all of a sudden there are kind of wait lists for Swatch. And it's like, well, that's not cool, but like you didn't expect it to grow that much.
Right.
But at least you're still being Swatch, and like these watches are coming out.
Right.
And now it's less than that. Now you're like, this is a cash grab.
Right. Then the inconsistency is what confuses me. The original Moonswatch release was terrific. The watches were, across the board, really pretty fucking interesting. Maybe there were like one or two that I didn't really find very cool, but no one said they weren't cool. Like, they were awesome. Omega did an amazing job. Whoever designed those watches did great. So I just can't help but to say, like, how do you perform so well on a Monday, and then on Thursday you flop that badly?
Yeah.
Even worse. Okay, we've all done that. We've had great days and bad days on an individual level. But this is a project. This took dozens of bad Thursdays to run through.
This took a very long time.
What the f*** is wrong with you?
Yeah. And then
stupid.
When you have a release that bad,
that
what
was my
happens
best Bark and Jack impression.
No, Bark and Jack is the Omega Moonswatch, blah, 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 blah. Are you stupid, Omega? It's very slow at the end. You're like, no, that's what it sounds like.
It's not just I'm making fun of Adrian, making fun of British people as a whole.
You have a beef with British people, right?
Yeah. Oh, come on, let me at him.
Vintage Americana.
Vintage Americana. And they plop this gold hand on as if As if
the stupid watch monkeys would all like be sitting in an auditorium. Just like
it does have a gold hand. I was gonna be critical of it, but that must be a solid gold hand. That's not cheap.
They're expecting us to be like mission control the first time something actually landed on the moon and freak out, and we're like, that's not
so stupid.
But do you see any thought that maybe they thought, well, like flecks of gold people might think is cheap. Yellow, or just making it gold colored is kind of boring. If we do an entire hand in gold, people will love that.
The entire hand in gold isn't inherently a bad idea. Mm-hmm. The Moonshine Gold could have a gold hand. That's cool. Yeah. But the fact that was the only thing is silly. The gold hand it's a fine detail.
If the watch was golden colored and it had that gold hand or champagne dial.
Something going, again, yes. I mean, if the case was kind of a golden kind of colored case, if the dial either played on the green or the panda, something else had to be there. Yeah. Something else.
I think it's one of those things where they lived long enough to become the villain. They were awesome. Then they had mistakes. We're like, you're kind of butchering this release after a little bit.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, well now you're just trying to cash grab and like you're doing limited locations. It's only available for one day. You're clearly trying to get the gray market discussion up again.
Yes.
You're clearly trying to continue the hype. And now it seems, now you feel like a corporation, not a bunch of people that got like lucky with an idea.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It was, a mess. No one cares 2 days later. The reaction was terrible, overwhelmingly negative. And it's a shame. It's a shame because I thought that it was one of the most, it was one of the coolest things about last year, and I really wanted it to continue. Just the other day when we were talking about it, I said, well, when does it end? When does the Moonswatch end? And our answer was never. This can, as long as they don't fuck it up, it can go on forever. 1 day later, they completely f it
the
up.
Next day.
It's amazing.
It's incredible.
It's a shame. But I guess, what do you expect? What do you expect? They got lucky, and I should have known it. Because I don't expect much from people. And I bestowed far too much praise on them. And I was being irresponsible. Because my instinct is always, they got lucky.
You're picturing a bunch of Don Drapers all of a sudden.
Yeah, because I root for people. I really do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just a curmudgeon that criticizes. I love to, right?
Especially,
don't I like to praise? He's like, well, I'm on camera, so I have to say yes. No, I really do. Like, you.
I mean, look at chairs, baby.
No, I love to say, like, wow, you did a fucking great day. That was great. Like, even just now when we were walking in, we were having a political conversation, and I brought up literally two people who I don't like at all, and was like, they were awesome and dead on this, and even a third person that I was like, I hate that sucker, but God, he was honorable. And
then I was like, you really, Christian comes in from long car rides for you being 10 minutes, we're just ready to roll. You would think you just got in like an accident and got in a political argument with that guy.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what he was saying. I'm like,
I love to say, like, good job, man. Like, let's take our jerseys off and swap. Like, you did a great job,
Yeah.
But no. Did I tell you this, the LeBron Zlatan thing, the jersey thing? So Zlatan Ibrahimovic is a soccer player. I think he's Swedish. He's very, very good. He's like an icon when I was growing up. He's a little bit older now, and now he's in the American Soccer League.
Okay.
So, but this guy's a fucking icon, crazy. So he comes to play for.
What I am for watches.
What I am my favorite is when someone like, I'll be talking to someone and like on the in a watch boutique or whatever, and they'll be like, I'm really into watches, and I'm like, and you haven't recognized me yet. You're clearly not that into watches.
The best is, oh my god, I watch all of your videos. They're talking directly to you. They're like, all the time, I love you,
Theo.
And I'm in the background like,
you watch all of my videos? You think my name is Theo?
And then I'm standing there, and I'm like, do you watch like all the new videos too? Like all of them? They're like, every single new video.
They don't recognize Michael at all.
I'm like, every single new video?
He's been in every video for the last 200 videos the guy's been in. He's been in the last 200 videos.
They're like, yeah, dude, are you a fan? I'm like, yeah.
And I tell them, and go tell your friends that you met Theodore Harrington. He came to America. I believe he plays for the LA team. So LeBron, which I think is nice. I hate LeBron, but this was nice of him. He sent him it was kind of weird. He sent him a LeBron jersey. If he sent him an LA jersey, that would have been cool.
Sure.
But he sent him a LeBron jersey, almost like a gang thing. Like, welcome to my turf, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Zlatan signed it and sent it back to him.
Really?
That's great.
That reminds me of in third grade. I think it was Christmas, and it's clearly this kid's parents, not him. But he brought in a framed picture of himself from my teacher as a gift.
Wow.
I remember even in third grade, I was like, why would she want a picture of you? And she put it on her desk. Like, what else was she going to do?
That opens up a weird door.
Say I don't think I went to a good school.
That reminds me of like molestation. I feel like everyone has these stories, because everyone I speak to has them, about like the one really weird teacher in school. In all the experiences that I had, it was always a woman. I had one. I won't say her name, but if anyone watching is
from where I'm from. Can you imagine just dropping a bomb in your hometown? They're like, this random video where they talk about some watch, Christian reveals.
He also talks about how a certain
I can see the
math teacher was a weirdo.
The first 18 minutes kind of dragged, but then all of a sudden...
Yeah. I won't say her name. Let's call her Felly Fun. Her name was... Anyway, she was obsessed with a handful of boys. Mind you, we're in 8th grade, and I wasn't one of the boys, of course. So really, this is really coming from a place of jealousy, you know what I mean? So anyway, she was obsessed with these boys, and to the point where she would actually like talk about them, like to other students. Well, you know my love for Dylan. You know, and you know who my favorite is. And my favorite is Marshall. And I was always like, are you all like, I feel like those, I don't think that anything ever happened there. I don't think that there was sexual. I think it was that woman really loved the attention that she got from boys, and which she probably had not gotten throughout her life. And I'm in 7th grade. I'm sitting there like, I'm figuring you all out, you know? And
you're back in lawyer prep school,
Yeah.
being like, this is going to be a hell of a case.
And the boys were just happy that they had a teacher, because having a teacher on your side protecting you is just a cool thing.
You have the biggest shield in school, yeah.
Yes, it was a very like warden inmate kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
And she used to have an end of the year party, like pool party, and they would be invited, and they would all be shirtless, and they'd post photos on Facebook.
The first point you made about it being innocent is...
Oh, it was... There were sexual undertones. I just don't think there was ever anything. There was never even any rumor that something had happened. That being said, who knows? You know. But the wild part is I sit now and I wonder if those boys who are now men wonder like, that was weird that I did that, right? That was weird that I used to be friends with that.
They
woman.
definitely do think about that all the time.
I was 11. I think you were 12, right?
Wow.
You're 8th grade. You're 12.
Yeah.
I was 12. And I, like a grown woman, called me her best friend. I mean, a 38-year-old woman called me her best friend. They did a talent show thing together.
You're just adding more.
Yes. They did a talent show thing together.
Oh my! With the teacher?
Yeah, just all the boys, like this group of like 8 boys and the teacher.
You know for a fact all the other faculty was like, this is really
Yeah, what was the song? I'm really, it's really fucking me up, man.
My humps.
Yeah. It was like the girls just want to have fun or some shit like that. I'm telling you, it was fucking weird, man.
Wow.
It was weird. And the last funny thing...
I'm glad that you're not stopping because it's getting worse and worse.
There was one kid, this is tangential, one of the kids that was not really included in like the favorites. He was a big guy. And she was a big woman. And he had a hair trigger, the kid. So he would jump down your throat if he thought you were saying something about his weight, which no one ever, rarely did, you know? And he was in a hallway during this talent show rehearsal, and she told him, you clear the hallway. And he thought she said, "You're fat." So now this kid was a tower. So he goes, "I'm fat? You ever see a fucking mirror?" War. What? Yeah. She probably blew him after the war, though. I'm from a weird place.
What is that?
Anyway, I'm from the Twilight Zone, New Jersey.
Anyways, that's lawyer prep school.
You know what's funny? We're recording, and I saw 16 minutes on the clock, and I was like, that's not enough time for our sponsors. Let me tell a story about pedophilia.
Well, I had a story that is now nothing in comparison. I had a teacher in high school where I don't want to give anything away because I'm sure it was innocent or whatever. I don't think actually it was. I changed my mind.
It wasn't innocent at all.
But I was doing it I was in a lot of classes that weren't regular. Like I was in film classes, but there was no film classes, so it was just me. And they'd be like,
it was really only you?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
They'd be like, you don't have a teacher, you have like an advisor.
This is college?
This is high school. They're like, you have to make films like about the school, about this and that. So I was on all my like own projects. So I would just like wander and go into certain classrooms and stuff like during the day. I told you, weird school.
It's bizarre.
But there was like some things I had to like fill out, and I had to fill out one form about like what books should we be buying like for students. And
film?
No, just in general. I was just like doing random projects. Dude, I made a video for my school my sophomore year, and then everything in my entire life changed. Bizarre. After sophomore year, I stopped going to regular classes. Like I would go to regular classes, but I would go for 5 minutes and then leave. They'd be like, the principal wants Michael to go like make a video about this. And then you know what's funny? Now there are certain pockets where I'm like, oh, I missed that class, and I just don't know a lot of certain things. I didn't go to a lot of English classes.
Yeah.
I still struggle with commas. I'm not kidding.
That's hysterical.
Yeah. So anyways,
Wow.
I
It's
had to
amazing
fill
how
out-
much it's held you back.
So I had to fill out this form that was like, what kind of books do you like? And then at the last page of the form,
You're like, no, it's what kind of books, comma, do you
teacher. So in the beginning, I was like, I really like. In the beginning, I wrote, I really like books with like that's a word I can't say, by the way. There's another sign. I didn't go to class. Peculiar?
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, you know, I really like books with that word, like not ordinary characters. And then on the last page, it was like Mrs. Potter's House for Peculiar and Not Ordinary Folks. And I was like, I think I'd like this book. Which is obviously funny. And the teacher that had me fill that out was cracking up, and she was like, that was so cute. That was the cutest thing ever. Oh my God, that was so funny. She was, because I gave it to her and she read it later. She was like, I was cracking up. And then I'd see her all the time, and she'd just talk to me, be like, what are you doing? How's this? How's this? What is that? My 18th birthday.
We made love.
My 18th birthday, I think, or maybe my 19th birthday, because I was in college. I was sitting in an auditorium right before a play was about to happen in
Yes.
college. I know no one. And all of a sudden, this teacher is DMing me on my birthday. Happy birthday. Oh my God, how are you? And I was like, good, how are you? I was sitting there right before the play.
18th birthday.
18th, maybe 19th. I don't know.
Barely legal.
She's just like, wow, I can't believe how old you are. How's college? How's this?
Oh,
and I was
my
like,
God.
good. And she's like, when is the next time you're going to be in town? And I was like, I don't know. Hey, this play's about to start. And for the entire play, I sat like this. Because then
I think I just had sex.
Because then you rethink your entire experience with that person.
Of course. It's looking from a different lens.
I was like, oh, that's why you were always like, you could, if you want to do work in my office, you can. Like, let's hang out, we'll do this.
That's
we'll
why
do
you were being nice.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Add me on
yeah.
Facebook immediately. DMs.
Oh my
I was like,
God. How
"Jeez."
crazy, right? That's fucking nuts.
Anyways.
Wow. I also misuse commas, as maybe you've noticed. But
No,
you haven't? Okay, of course. How would you notice? You don't have the prerequisite
You know what's funny? A
knowledge.
lot of the times you put a comment in something and I'm like, oh.
Wow, that is so interesting.
That's weird. I didn't think
I
you'd
misuse
pause there.
commas. I went to a theater high school, so Michael and I clearly
No wonder we don't fact check. We can't even read the words.
fucking read. We don't fact check. We both went to schools where it was like, but how do you feel about it? Like,
My theater teacher used to say we're athletes of the heart.
yeah,
And I was
athletes
like,
of the
"You're
heart.
right, you're
Yeah.
right."
When you're in theater school and you're analyzing a monologue, you break it down into beats, and then further, you would break it down into like actionable emotions. I never did that because I just looked at it like,
That's how I feel.
yeah, right. Like I don't need to color code it green to be angry at this line, Come
Yeah.
on. But I write in beats, like 100%. So that's why I will never, like even with particular projects that we've sent script work over to a client,
Mm-hmm.
I will not send over a script. I will send over a reading of the script because if I
Yeah,
send over
right,
the
right.
script, you're not going to get it,
Yeah.
And it's not on you, it's on me. I wrote it wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
Imagine you're working with a client, or they're working with us. You say the number, it's a large number. They're like, send me the script, and you're like, actually,
I'm gonna send you
I'm gonna send you a audio file of me under the covers, so there's no echo of me reading it to you slowly, and Michael's gonna put music on it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, 100%.
Wow.
So that's funny. It's amazing, and we're going to do a couple episodes of the podcast pretty soon, and that's one of the things we get to talk about, like how unconventional our road to 27 has been. And we both went to college, but we didn't really.
And you know what? My freshman year of college, after not having classes for like 2.5 years, I was like, I hate college.
Oh, yeah.
And then by the end of freshman year, I didn't have real classes again.
Yeah. I remember just looking at a class in high school and in college. It was trigonometry in high school, and in college it was, well, Greek mythology for one. And I liked Greek mythology, but I remember being like, I'm not going to learn this.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. And I still kind of behave that way.
I dropped calculus in college 3 times.
Oh my God.
I'm a computer science major. I didn't drop it because I was doing bad. I dropped it because I'd take one test and be like, I'll do that. I'll do that. I got to make this movie about this.
Oh my God. My dad failed OChem because he was going to be a doctor. He wanted to be a doctor. And he failed organic chemistry, and that's why he's not a doctor. My dad ended up doing just fine, whatever. But for a while, he really should have been a doctor. It would have been better for him, you know? And I don't think his parents ever forgot that.
Your dad could see a horrible car accident and not even blink.
Not even blink.
I could see him just walking. Like,
cold behind the
everybody knows him as Liquor Run Rolly.
Yeah.
I could see him grabbing a scalding hot door and just pulling it off the hinges. Yes. But like not like a heroic way, like a robotic. Like
just emptying the brain, kind of like emptying the heart.
Just stitching you up on the road. He puts you back in the car after the fire.
It's bizarre. Yeah. So I was talking to him the other day, and I said the reason you failed organic chemistry is because my parents held me to such a high, held me to a very high and unreasonably high level. I said, well, that's very common of immigrant parents. Like your immigrant parents want to hold you to this unreasonably high level. I said the problem with you is that you assimilated into the American culture too much.
Very quickly.
So you rejected the unreasonable immigrant. I said, do you remember in college, like your Asian friends? He's like, yeah. I said, well, what do they do for a living? They're all doctors. I said, were they hanging out and just drinking and their buddies doing blow on Friday nights? He's like, no. I'm like, exactly.
He's like, that's weird.
He's like, yeah, it's not rocket science. You know, you just became too American too quickly. Anyway, watches,
Moonshine. Wow, that was really.
That was fun.
That's a preview of the podcast.
There's a
never a topic.
Yep.